Hello, everyone. Chip Paul for Chip Talks Podcast. Today, we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about pain. So sorry to have that up right now, but we're going to talk a little bit about pain and what causes pain, and then what we can do about pain. So pain has an explanation. If you're someone who has, let's say, neuropathic pain, then this really video won't be for you. We'll do another video on neuropathic pain later at a different time. And neuropathic pain is, if you have it, you know, is mainly associated with diabetes, but it can be caused by other things. But most of us have some level of pain. Most of us walk around with, some kind of hurt or ailment or, trauma that hasn't repaired, or spinal injury or neck injury or whatever. Most of us have a significant amount of pain. And most of us take something called NSAIDs for that pain, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Those would be ibuprofen, Tylenol, Proxen, or whatever it's called. So stuff like that, right? So we all know that those can hurt our liver, right? And if we're in a constant amount of pain, then it's not a good idea to be chowing NSAIDs all the time. And I'm looking at you, college athletes. I'm looking at you, middle-aged athletes, runners, golfers. I know because I was one, and I know how many NSAIDs I took, and I know what risk I put my liver at. So let's talk a little bit about kind of what this pain is and kind of what causes pain. So what are the mechanisms involved in pain? It's not just like it's woohoo and magic. You can never figure out what pain is. No, it's got to be chemical. It's got to be electrical. You're a machine. You're a vehicle. So it has to be explainable inside of you. It has to have a complete explanation. So how pain works, how you mitigate pain, what receptors are involved, what neurology is happening, what pharmacologically is happening. That all has to have an explanation, and does, which is cool. So we'll kind of walk through that, not at a real detailed level, it'll blur your eyes, but at kind of a high level as to what goes on with pain, how it's involved with the endocannabinoid system, which I think is kind of cool. And we'll just kind of talk it through. Okay, so let me get over to where I'm presenting from. There we go. Okay, so this is just a quick graphic of kind of how your prostaglandin system works. And it turns out that these guys down here, PGE2, we're going to be talking a lot about, because that's really where pain comes from. Pain is created by PGE2 mediators hitting a certain receptor, bow, bow, and that creates pain. Guess what? If you come up here to COX-1 and COX-2 and you inhibit these, just like it says NSAIDs do, you inhibit the ability of that enzyme to make this PGH2, and also inhibit the ability of PGH2 to make PGE2, which is really what causes pain. All right. So how do you know that PGE2 causes pain, Chip? Well, again, let's just go to Google. It's right here. So PGE2 is absolutely, so I'll read it. It causes pain by directly stimulating nicoinceptive primary sensor neurons, nicoreceptors, and indirectly stimulating the release of a substance P, SP, and pain-related peptide. Now, the other thing that happens when, let's say, PGE2 is active and active at the receptors that it gets at is your blood pressure will increase. And is an increase in blood pressure associated with pain? Yes, it is. Okay. So again, acute pain can temporarily increase blood pressure. Why? Because of PGE2. Everything has a why. You're a beautiful, perfect machine. God is a perfect engineer. There's always a why for everything. So why we have pain is associated with this an overexpression, really, of PGE2, which hits at our pain receptor. And the other thing that PGE2 can do when it's overramped is it can increase blood pressure. And this is why an increase in blood pressure is associated with an increase in pain. Making sense? Hopefully so. Now, again, what about NSAIDs? NSAIDs do target this complex. They do inhibit COX-2. What does that do? Again, we come back over here to our graphic. inhibiting COX-2 will inhibit PGE2, which will cut down on pain. So NSAIDs work. The problem is they're just not real safe, right? So they will cause, problems with our liver. All right. So are there other things that we can do to mitigate pain, and why would they work? Yes. It turns out cannabidiol, so CBD, is effective at inhibiting COX-1 and COX-2 and has been shown to do that. And that's what this study says. The effects of CBD occur in the micromolar range, which is great. You want something small, which is attained in humans in therapeutic doses of the drug, suggesting the clinical relevance of these findings. So very nice that we have something safe that comes from cannabis, that is CBD, that is non-psychoactive, that will also help inhibit these same receptors. The other thing that'll work, and again, there's a lot of things in nature. So if you wanted to, if you want to at home, let's say I want to Google some things that might help me with my pain, just look at, natural COX-2 inhibitors, and you're going to, find lots of stuff in nature, which is really good. And that's why lots of stuff in nature will work and works with pain. It's because of its actions, usually with COX-2 or some upstream system. So heat shock protein 90, maybe, things like that. But all these guys are related, and there's always a reason for everything. So this is salicylic acid at COX-2. Again, salicylic acid is what Bayer made into the second drug ever made, from white willow bark. They found this salicylic acid and they acetylated it. They made a drug out of it, and that's what Bayer aspirin is. And so salicylic acid certainly will inhibit COX-2. That's why Bayer aspirin works and reduces pain. So anyway, a little bit about pain today. That is kind of the why and the wherefore behind pain. Pain is, pretty easy to get. There's lots of natural things that will get pain. If you're in a severe amount of pain, so let's say you're somebody who lives at an 8 or 9 every day, you're going to need to hit this really, 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 really hard. There's ways that you can look at, like, how can I, mitigate that pain or make that pain better? Well, if it's, some kind of neurological damage or nerve damage or lingering trauma, that's hard to do. I mean, you need stem cells, you have to repair that area. And then, our bodies only have one way to tell us, help, I need something. And that's really to put us in pain, right? And so if you have a trauma or a lingering area that's hurting, that's your body saying, help, I need something. I'm not done repairing. I didn't have enough stem cells. I couldn't get in there and really repair everything that needed to be repaired. And so I'm going to tell you, bump, 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 by making you hurt, right? So it's really our only way that our body has to give us feedback is, kind of our sensations, right? And pain is one of those. So if you're in a lot of pain, if you're a big pain management person, 8 or 9 every day, you're going to need a whole system. And we have a system within TrueMedics, so we deal with that every day. My wife is almost in that category, so I live with that every day. But we have that down to a pretty good, science as far as management of pain. If you're out there and you're an athlete or let's say just a golfer like I was, a runner, golfer, marathoner, you're likely taking a lot of NSAIDs. So again, stop and look for natural product solutions. If you want, an easy one, we've got one in our TrueMedics product lineup called Comfort. It has salicylic acid in it, which is one of the things that we just talked about. It also has CBD in it, which is one of the things that we just talked about. The other thing that it has in it, let's see if I can do this. It has CBDA in it. I think this will work. So CBDA and COX. Let's see what we get. And there we go. So CBDA is a COX-2 inhibitor. Just like the other stuff. So we went overboard. We just don't have one COX-2 inhibitor. The whole thing is a COX-2 inhibitor, and it works really well. It certainly is a replacement, for things like, NSAIDs. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, check out TrueMedics, check out the Comfort product line, look at all the great stuff in it. We'll be coming out with even more advanced pain relief down the road because we're getting this stuff better and better figured out all the time. So anyway, I'll leave it there. If you have questions, ask in any of the threads. Hit us up at True Medics. Hit us up at Neighborly Wellness. Say hi, book an appointment. If you need a consult, book it there. Anyway, see you guys, and we'll talk to you likely tomorrow, but we'll see. Talk to you later. Bye.